This segment brought to you by Gutierrez Law Firm.
Hola, mi gente. I'm attorney Francisco Gutierrez and a proud sponsor of Arizona Barrio Stories. I grew up in the Anat Barrio, and I've been practicing law now since 1984. Experience really does matter. If you've been injured by someone, call me. Let's talk.
Welcome to Arizona Barrios Stories. I'm Irma. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being a member of our site. And if you're not a member, please join. Your story is important to us and we want to hear it. Today's special guest is going to give us some information about himself, plus who he's affiliated with. Please introduce yourself.
So, thank you for having me on your show. My name is Pedro Cons, and I'm with Adelante Healthcare, and also born and raised in South Phoenix.
Give me some information on you growing up. What grade school, what high school did you attend?
So I went to Roosevelt School in the early beginnings, and unfortunately my school burned down when I was in third grade.
You had nothing to do with it.
No, I had nothing to do with it. And so after it burned down, unfortunately, Roosevelt School was on 7th Street in Southern, and I ended up going to CO Greenfield School. And ended up being there for about 4 years until I graduated, and then went to South Mountain High School.
And off camera you said you're not a rebel, but you were a first year
Jaguar. Yes.
Now tell us about things that happened during that time period, during high school days. What were you like? What obstacles did you encounter? Who were the people that motivated you?
Well, so first let me talk about the obstacle. I'm not ashamed to say that I unfortunately didn't graduate from high school. I was supposed to graduate in the year 90, class of 91 in South Mountain. But, that was one of my true obstacles. But one of the persons that I would say really inspired me to continue my education, because I didn't have that thought of actually attending college or graduating. It wasn't, something that I was thinking about, was Stella Torres from South Mountain Community College. She ran a program called ACE.
Tell us about the ACE program.
Achieving a college education. Typically they take kids in their sophomore year in high school, and then by the time they graduate from high school they end up with 30 some odd credit hours and continue on to either a community college or then to a university. I was a little different. I actually went in one of her programs called Project Diploma. And that project diploma was at South Mountain Community College. I ended up getting my GED, and then she adopted me into the program, and I went on with other kids and that were very successful, and I would say they were also my motivation. Ended up graduating from South Mountain Community College, and then went on to ASU and met some really cool and inspiring individuals like Rick Chavoya and those folks that also were mentors of mine.
Tell me about your family. Tell me about your parents and siblings.
So I grew up in a single-family household. My mother, raised us and, really gave us, we grew up poor, but, she definitely provided for us and cared for us and made sure that we had everything that we needed, to be successful. I remember one of my stories was that, when I dropped out of high school, she gave me an ultimatum. She said, Pedro, you either go back to school, get a job, or you need to leave the house. And so, of course,
tough love.
Tough love. And so I ended up, deciding to go back to school, and that's when I found Project Diploma. But it was a good childhood and a good upbringing. Lots of family. Although my parents were divorced, I did visit with my father often, and some people may remember his name. His name was Pete, just like mine, or actually Pedro también, but he went by Pete, and he had a shop on 7th Street called Big Pete's Auto. And then he also had another one with Ace Muffler and tire repair, or Ace Muffler and brake repair on Central. Even with that, growing up with my father and learning to be a mechanic and do my own brakes at 11 years old was also interesting and fun.
Oh my! Did they pay you?
He did pay me a little bit. Mainly eating at Quinoa, right there, if you remember. Yes. Quinoa.
about your journey into Adelante. How did you end up, well, CPLC. Tell me
Yeah.
how that happened.
So, my career took me to many places, and I was a school counselor within the Isaac School District. I was a director at Valle del Sol. And then I remember the day I went to Chicanos por la Causa. And, I was a young director and moving over to Chicanos por la Causa. And ironically, I had brought over Carmen Heredia to Valle del Sol, and now she's the CEO of Valle del Sol. So, that was a great, switch for us as well. But I spent almost 15 years at Chicanos por la Causa, overseeing the behavioral health area, and then under Edmundo Hidalgo, learning and transferring to different areas and learning more about Chicanos por la Causa. I was the VP of HR, I was the VP of multifamily properties and so forth, and of course had many other opportunities there with strategic initiatives, working directly for Edmundo and then also with David, and becoming one of David's executives when he became the CEO. And so I was with David for 5 years as an executive overseeing the company as well.
And tell us what you do today specifically.
Today I am the CEO of Adelante Healthcare, which is an FQHC, a federally qualified health center, with 9 comprehensive locations here in Maricopa County, serving over 85,000 unique patients with over 300,000 patient visits a year.
Wow.
And I like to point out that we deliver over 2,000 babies a year.
Wow. That is awesome statistics.
Yeah.
Now, when you look back to your obstacles, what would you say to a 16-year-old Pedro? As an adult, what would you have told yourself to, words to remember?
What's interesting is that I think about that often. If I knew then what I know now, it'd be a whole different story. So I would tell people that to really motivate yourself by challenging yourself every day. Every day, I challenge myself to do something that I normally would be afraid of, or to put myself in in thinking outside the box, right? And when you do that on a daily basis, and you challenge yourself, you definitely will be successful.
We are always looking for people that will uplift other people. You have children now. Are these the type of consejos or advice that you're giving to your children?
Oh, no, absolutely. One of my daughters who's here with us on the show, she reads a book every day. And, one of the books that I challenged her to read was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, and so when I think about what I didn't know as a child was, about finances and about life and how to take ourselves, to that next level. And so I definitely, try to give them all those consejos, as much as I possibly can in life. And even this morning when my daughter and I were having breakfast together, we're just talking, about what she's doing in school and what's important to her. And we just talk about life in general.
That's a good father thing. When you think of the word barrio, what comes to mind?
So all the different barrios that we come from, right? And the many different barrios that exist here in Phoenix and Maricopa County, and all over the place. I know we've been talking about the main ones here in Phoenix, but when I think back about where my grandfather was born in Tempe in 1919. My grandmother was born in Benson, Arizona. And their parents were actually born here too. So I'm a generational, kid over here, right in Arizona.
What do you remember from visiting them?
And what I remember is definitely in the different barrios, like mentioned earlier when we were talking 8th Street and 10th Street, just north of Baseline and south of Vineyard, is where I primarily grew up, attending CO Greenfield School, and my biggest memory in our barrio there was the weekends and my grandmother singing and cleaning the house, and it was just a beautiful memory that I have. She sang often all morning, and the music was blaring, the windows were open, smelled like piña sol, right? And, you know, it was just a wonderful memory. One of my other fond memories that I have of growing up in South Phoenix, and many folks may remember this, is, you know, driving down Baseline Road and smelling the citrus and the flowers, and the drop in temperature that you would experience. You know, would drop literally 10 degrees because of all the orchards and the water and you know, the flowers when you hit 40th, you know, Street. You know, it was definitely an amazing memory as well. But as you all know, it no longer exists with all the houses that are built there.
We've gone through a transformation here in the valley, and unfortunately the Japanese flower gardens took a hit. And
Yes.
Tell me about your footprint that you want to leave.
You know, my footprint that I want to leave is an opportunity for others to be successful, to learn from either my mistakes or my successes, right? And it's something that I enjoy doing, is empowering all of my staff, you know, my friends, my family, to do more and be more, right? And to have the opportunities that I did not have before, and to leave those opportunities, you know, for the future.
Chicanos por la Causa and Adelante are part of your big resume.
Mm-hmm.
We want people to know that they can come to these facilities to be able to get help. What can you give us in closing as far as what you're doing now to reach people?
Yeah, you know, so one of the things that we're out there in social media, and you know, with on Facebook and other media venues, but we also can be contacted at Adelante or found on at adelante.com, and you know.
Can you give us your email address in case somebody wants to contact?
Oh yes, no, absolutely. So my email address is fairly easy. It's pcons, C-O-N-S, at adelantehealthcare.org.
Thank you for visiting us today. Thank you for your story. And I sure like the story about the Japanese flower gardens. I mean, that's, I think, sticks with a lot of people. And your Nana in Benson, Arizona. And it's good to tell those stories so we can remember.
No, absolutely no. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching our show today. You have a story too. Your story is waiting for you to tell it. Don't wait on somebody else to tell your story. You need to tell your own story. This is Irma Payan at Arizona Barrios Stories, and we want to hear you soon. See you later.
Hello, my name is David Adame, President and CEO of Chicanos por la Causa. Today, I would like to announce our brand new exciting partnership with Arizona Barrios Stories. Arizona Barrios Stories is a key part of our community and in line with what we believe in, restoring Chicano history and making sure that we continue to celebrate Mexican traditions, history, family, and culture. Arizona Barrios Stories will play an important role in bringing you important stories about Chicanos por la Causa and the founders who helped build Chicanos por la Causa, but also other key important stories about our Chicano community here in Arizona. We look forward to a wonderful partnership, and thank you for your continued support.